biggest legal questions is under what legal framework? Because if I ask anybody from the EC, where do they place the Mao arrangement of the three? Does it fall anywhere? Is it a coalition? Is it a merger? Is it, what's the third?
It is a cooperation, alliance, and merger.
Yeah. So where
there's another, it's a friendship.
so we believe we can protect politics and political actors, and especially parties, which are institutions, from that kind of confusion by making the law clearer on how these working relations can be protected by the law. And I want to invite this forum to really pick interest in this. Like I said, it's one of the things in which I believe is not actually late. So the idea of it's late to amend the law is late. This is not late. You know, it can be done and very fast.
So you believe that even when there are many proposals, but we can put the
you see,
pick what you can manage.
When I presented these bills, like I'll share with you, I did cascade these bills into those can be amended in the immediacy. Those can be amended because, like the Constitution, Article 260, you can amend the Constitution.
Finally, God is good. Matthias Mpuuga Nsamba officially joined NRM. This is good. This is good.
As Parliament and local governments. That is 260. 261, Parliament and a referendum. 262, Parliament alone. For example, if you're going to have a referendum, we even made provision to amend the Referendum Act to say that you cannot do a referendum now, it's late. But you can amend the Referendum Act to say that on a polling day, you also hold a referendum. You'd have reduced costs of holding one by simply providing a ballot box and ballots for referendum. Same resources, same day. Because it's a very long time since the nation last held a referendum. We are probably one of the few countries that do not come out to resolve long-standing governance issues to which citizens are disagreeable. And there are so many. There are so many governance questions that people should be asked to respond through referendum. I even gave one of the examples that the president has been speaking commonly to abolish the concept of bail.
He said the president, meaning his president, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
And I want to challenge him to put on a referendum and see what citizens say about it. Let it be put on referendum, and then the citizen will answer him what they want and what they say about bail. But it's one of them on referendum and see what citizens say. I have a very, very big issue which gives me headache, I think with others, the destruction of the Central Forest Reserve in this country and restoration. And it should be a matter of referendum. If tomorrow I'm in government and I have influence, I would legislate for restoration immediately, regardless of who is occupying it. The floods, the droughts are all because of that. So if you put a referendum on that question, citizens will tell you. Then as government, you decide if you want to compensate the occupants of the Central Forest Reserve. So there are several unresolved questions of governance and government management, including downsizing Parliament. If you think it's a bad thing, put it before the people. They will tell you what they want about Parliament. So,
and in order, because you need to reduce the cost, you put the ballot boxes for the president, the Parliament, then on the last, people vote on a particular issue.
Yes, a particular issue.
So that means you've used the same costs.
Yep.
The only thing that you would increase is the boxes.
Boxes and papers.
And papers.
Yeah.
And the Electoral Commission manages both on the same day.
Yes, that's our proposal. That's why we want to amend the Referendum Act in F to say at every national polling day there must be provision for referenda, because it does help to resolve outstanding governance questions.
Okay.
You cannot spend 25 years without resolving particular governance challenges in a country. It's a problem. You must be able to ask citizens Remember, we were promised a constitutional review commission 15 years ago. Some of the members who were appointed 10 years ago are now ministers. The commission never took off. So, meaning that there remains unresolved serious governance questions in this country that we need to discuss. Of course, we have also proposed to amend the Electoral Commission Act. The good doctor and the Honorable Mr. Chiingi, we are not targeting individuals at the EC, but we are targeting the structure of the EC. Because we believe the EC, and it's one of the principles here of this forum, in having a well-resourced, a well-managed, a competent EC. We believe part of the problem with it is how it is appointed, how it is constituted, the structure. But also in amending the EC Act, we want to amend it that the EC can make provision for the voting of prisoners and the Ugandans in the diaspora. It's one of the things I think that's not even late to be undertaken. Registering Ugandans in the diaspora only requires amending the EC Act to say the EC Electoral Commission will gazette high commissions, embassies, and missions as polling stations. And you will appoint a foreign officer to be a returning officer on polling day. And then we'll ask all Ugandans in that jurisdiction with a passport to go and register to vote. I don't think that amendment requires rocket science. The same thing to say the EC will gazette prisoners as polling stations and will appoint a prisoners officer at this particular level as the presiding officer. Because on the death row, every lawyer will tell you that you are possibly decommissioned as a living human being. Okay? So, but the others have a right to vote. But they can only vote a president, they cannot vote, just like those in the diaspora, will only vote the president and the prisoners. They cannot vote MPs.
And for chairman and so on.
No, you cannot. They can only vote the president. We contend that the diaspora community is making a huge contribution to this economy, and therefore their contribution should be recognized by enabling their civic rights to be exercised. And that cannot be a crisis, Mr. Chairman. So some of these proposed amendments are actually feasible and within time. There are those we see that require a close national conversation from stakeholders. But then, for them to happen, there must be a conversation going on. We might be in denial or act in denial, but we are a hurting nation. Hurting from the ruins of our history, hurting from the ruins of our politics, deprivation, revenge. There's a lot going on. And therefore, we need to speak to ourselves as leaders, as stakeholders, to make sure to protect this country and do justice to people who have been affected by our past. We're talking about establishing a national commission for healing, reparations and reconciliation. We're talking about the release of political prisoners, ending of violence at the polls, truth-telling, confession and repentance, amnesty for perpetrators of injustice, reparations to victims. I'll give you a simple example. We have had a conversation about the violence from the last election. People were injured, people were killed, people who disappeared. But who has reached out to the families of these victims? If you inquired from the families, I am very sure the family members are relishing for an opportunity to revenge. There's been a lot of deprivation in this country. Families, poor families deprived of their land by the powerful, land grabbing, So these are issues that, if we are going to heal this nation, must be addressed. Serious matters of economic deprivation. So I contend that, and my team, that we need to have a conversation on how to heal this nation. We are a melting pot of so many diversities, ethnic, political, religious, call it. And if you do not move to the center to understand what these differences mean, what these variations mean, then you might easily ignore the suffering of communities and end up in a nation that will never reconcile with itself. But the duty is on the table of the political actors. So the NSF, as a forum of political parties, which you said from the beginning are very key in our governance systems, has a duty to look at this and more. I've just spoken to the tidbits of these titles, to speak to these issues and probably agree to begin working on a framework. I do not know how the workings of the forum are. My view, my thinking, which could be erroneous, probably is that when the plenary sits, it generates ideas, which ideas go to parties to generate consensus. I believe that eventually, or vice versa, whichever, where do they end? Do they end up as legislation? Do they end up as general conversations could be meza? So how do you deal with the outcomes of this conversation? Because reading through this document, you have talked about so many issues, but in which road do they end? So these are the questions that we want to find answers to, that a whole number 4 should not chair a meeting that is of no consequence. Chairing all the 28 parties? 26 parties. He should chair a forum that will generate business of consequence to the nation. And when I say consequence, I mean positive. Consequence can be negative. You can also chair a meeting of negative consequence to the nation. No, this time I'm referring to positive consequence, sir. So that we can mutually benefit from the existence of this forum. When I was leader of the opposition, I actually challenged, you must have seen me challenging and demanding, where is the NSF in all this going on in the country? When to hear your voice? Probably you need to do more now. I don't think there's a time that you have ever been needed like now, as NCF, to give the nation an idea of what parties think. And we need to know, is there a party that is inhibiting putting into action these views that are well incubated at the NCF? Is the majority party willing to tone down on its majoritarian rhetoric? Because majority can also be a problem, you know? Is the majority party which you lead and represent willing to tone down on the rhetoric of the majority? The majority will always tell the minority to go hang or find reason to, to start up pressure. So, but that does not build nations. It only keeps people apart. And I'm very sure, as I conclude, that you don't chair this forum because you agree. You chair this forum and others participate because they are serious matters.
Bagamba nti eryokanga neetonnya tulaba esisira bwe zenkanya emitwe. Wuuyo Mpuuga wammwe byalimu mu nkolagana ye ne NRM bakolagane. Mbona yo kolagana gyayagala si eringa eya Norbert Mao yalina enkolagana ye